Have you ever checked the time and it's 11:11? Later that same day, you notice 222 on a receipt, then 333 on a license plate. At first you ignore it, but eventually you start wondering, why does this keep happening? Is it coincidence? A trick of the brain? Or could it mean something deeper? Especially if strange things have been happening inside you as well. Pressure in your chest, sudden emotional waves, a feeling that your old life doesn't quite fit anymore. Tonight we're going to explore one of the strangest intersections in modern spirituality, angel numbers, and the mysterious phenomenon known as Kundalini Awakening. And by the end of this video, you might look at those repeating numbers very differently. Let's start with the numbers. Thousands of people report seeing repeating sequences like 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, often during periods of major life change, career shifts, relationship endings, spiritual exploration, moments when something inside them feels unsettled but alive. In modern spirituality, these sequences are often called angel numbers. The idea is simple. When your awareness begins shifting, you start noticing patterns that were always there. Some interpret this as guidance from higher consciousness. Others see it as the universe nudging your attention. But even skeptics agree on one thing: humans are extremely good at detecting patterns. So the real question becomes, why do these patterns start appearing during moments of deep personal transformation? To explore that, we need to talk about Kundalini. For over 3,000 years, yogic traditions have described a mysterious force within the human body. They called it Kundalini. In Sanskrit, the word literally means coiled serpent. According to ancient texts, this energy lies dormant at the base of the spine, and under certain circumstances, it awakens. When it does, practitioners say it rises through the body's energy centers called chakras, transforming consciousness along the way. But here's the fascinating part. The symptoms described in ancient writings are surprisingly similar to modern reports of spiritual awakening. People describe waves of energy moving through the body, heightened awareness, intense emotional release, sudden changes in life direction, a deep sense of interconnectedness, in other words, the experience of becoming someone new. So where do angel numbers come in? One possibility is psychological. When your mind goes through major transformation, your attention system changes. The brain's filtering system, called the reticular activating system, decides what information reaches your conscious awareness. Normally, it filters out most of reality, but during periods of deep change, that filter loosens. Suddenly, you start noticing patterns that were always there. Numbers, symbols, synchronicities. Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that feel psychologically significant. From a symbolic perspective, many people interpret angel numbers not as supernatural messages, but as mirrors of inner alignment, moments where your attention and your life direction briefly lock into focus. The number itself may not be the message. The moment of noticing might be. Now let's return to Kundalini. Ancient yogis believe that as this energy awakens, it doesn't just create mystical experiences, it reorganizes the psyche. Old emotional patterns surface. Hidden fears emerge. Identity begins shifting. It can feel confusing, even overwhelming, but symbolically, the process represents something powerful. The movement from survival identity to authentic awareness. You begin letting go of who you thought you had to be, and slowly discovering who you actually are. During this transition, the mind searches for orientation, patterns, meaning, signals, which may explain why many people begin noticing symbolic things like repeating numbers during these periods. Not because the universe suddenly changed, but because you did. Of course, there's simpler explanation too. Our brains are pattern detection machines. Once you notice 1111 once, you may simply start noticing it more. This is called frequency illusion, and it's real. But here's where things get interesting. Even if the numbers themselves are coincidence, the psychological transformation people experience during spiritual awakening is well documented. Meditation research shows measurable changes in emotional regulation, brain connectivity, perception of self, so the mystical language may vary, but the transformation itself appears to be very real. So what if angel numbers and Kundalini Awakening are pointing to the same underlying truth? Not that invisible beings are sending coded messages, but that human consciousness is capable of profound shifts. When those shifts happen, your perception of reality changes. You notice more, feel more, question more, and sometimes small coincidences suddenly feel like breadcrumbs on a path you didn't know you were walking. So the next time you see 111, 333, or 444, instead of asking, "Is this a supernatural message?" you might ask a more powerful question. What is changing inside me right now? Because the real mystery may not be the numbers. It may be the awakening attention that notices them. The quiet moment where something inside you pauses, looks at the world differently, and realizes that transformation might already be underway. Not because the universe suddenly started speaking, but because, for the first time in a long time, you started listening. If you've been seeing repeating numbers or experiencing shifts like this, comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. And if you enjoy exploring the intersection of science, psychology, and spirituality, subscribe for more videos like this, because the deeper you look into consciousness, the stranger and more fascinating it becomes.